Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. What's up?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. For the YouTube people, I just want to say this up front. I did an interview with Ryan Zimmerman. So if you're listening to the radio show or you're listening to the podcast of this, you'll hear that. But because it wasn't on video, you're not going to get it here. So we're doing cross promotion of the same show on different platforms now, Callow. That's how we do this thing.
There we
I'll
go.
put this up because there's video, but I'm not just going to put up audio because I don't know what in the world I would show. But the interview with Zimmerman's really good. So subscribe to the podcast or listen to the show from 11 to 12 and you'll hear it. There you go.
You could just do the old throw a picture of Zim up and then play it for however long if you
Like
wanted
18
to.
minutes. 18 minutes, static screen, 18 minutes. I guess I could have done that. I've chosen to only show on YouTube the things where there's video involved. That's what I've decided we're going to do.
All right, fair.
Cool. Is that cool? All
Got
right, let's get into what's going on because we got a short one with me and you today. Zimmerman's going to come on, and then Mike Minnick joins us at the bottom of the hour because every Friday we do Spirit Spotlight. And he's working for NBC and doing all the Olympic stuff, and the U.S. women's national team's killing it. So he's going to talk about Trinity and her newfound superstardom and what's going on with the Spirit players that are over there in the U.S. women's national team. Anyway, let me start with the Commanders again today. Practice happened again today, and well. It's they would like to hit now was today's practice. This, it's really funny. I was talking to some people on the sideline last couple days, and the fans have been there this week. They weren't there the first week. And I'm telling you, it's the city open. It's like quiet. Like people are, they ooh and ah when some big play happens, like some of the throws down the field and all that stuff. But in general, it's a very nice, serene golf tennis crowd that's going on there. And I was like bringing this up to some people. I'm like, God, it almost feels like they're not even here because they've been quiet. And today changed a little bit. And I think it's because they want to see a football practice. And they haven't been they've been getting one, but not one like today. And it really showcased that for the first week and a half of this, they've gone out of their way, the coaching staff, to bottle it up. And what was happening today was the lid was being pushed open by the players, and they're ready to hit. So we saw a few moments of this. There was a collision on one of these kickoffs with Byron Pringle, who just showed up yesterday and apparently didn't know the rules of engagement. And he hit Tariq Castro-Fields, and the trainers had to actually come on the field. And it appears he's okay. But it was the first real collision. And then I saw on one run, Brian Robinson almost couldn't help himself, but lowered the pads into somebody. And there was just more popping sounds and barking. So they're ready to hit people now. And I think Quinn and Witt and Kingsbury know this. And eventually they just got to let them do it because they are clearly ready to, and they've been told not to up to this point.
I mean, you can bottle up as much as you can with a joint practice coming next week, at least. I mean, that's the good part about this. They're trying to bottle it up as much as possible, but obviously this happens every year with every single team. What's the breaking point? There's always just a day where it's too hot. They've been hitting the same people. They're not excited about being there anymore. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, but it starts to get the grind. And I'm not surprised. It's a little over a week. And look at the weather too. It got hot again. Yeah. I'm not surprised at all that all of a sudden the pads started popping a little bit. And guys, this is what happens too. Guys start to look, to start scrapping a little bit too. You know how this works. And this is every sport too. Like I always say it in hockey. Go watch hockey preseason. Guys are getting in fights that never get in fights before because they just want to be noticed by other people. This is exactly what's happening now. They're all popping each other because they all want to make sure they try to make a team.
And, listen, I know how these guys are wired because I've been around them forever. It's unnatural for them to not hit the other guy. It's unnatural. So, being told don't do it only lasts for a while before the instincts just literally take over. And it was happening today. And I think part of it, too, was the first time they did some full-on one-on-one drills, corners and receivers. And then I was kind of locked in on the line because they've been moving all these people around. And I just wanted to see how they did in one-on-ones. And I saw Brandon Coleman had a couple really good reps. And then he got his lunch eaten by Dorrance Armstrong for once. But that's an established pass rusher. That's going to happen. And so I got a good look at all of these guys. We got a little bit of Johnny Newton in that. I saw Payne go up against Cosme a couple times. That was good. So we started to see kind of the makings of what I felt was football practice. It was refreshing to have football practice, and I'm assuming it's going to ramp up. They only got a few left before they go to New York. So I think we're going to have a full on. I don't know, if it's going to be the one over the weekend or the last one before they go to New York, but I think they need to like fully pull the lid off, let them go at each other once before they go up into New York, because that really shouldn't be the first experience of doing football again when they go up there. But I'm expecting it to happen. And it was actually refreshing. And the crowd, you could see, reacted to it. Because like for 3 days, they're sitting out there and they're almost like, what's going on here? Like, are we practicing football? And it finally started up.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm not surprised the crowd was actually quiet too until, this practice as well, because you and I have talked about this really over the years, really the last 6-7 years, about how training camp just isn't the same. I mean, The new rules, there's no real hitting anymore. I mean, not that they should, but they don't even pop each other really that much. And then, we would always joke about too, 2 days were really 1.5 days or 1.25 days. That second practice used to be a joke, So, I mean,
it's just so crazy because like back in the day when I first started covering them was old school, literal 2-a-days. You'd go to one in the morning, you'd take a break, you'd go back out and do it in the afternoon. By the end of that, you could see the look on the face of these players. They want to kill somebody. And it went on for like 3 straight weeks. And we're just such a far cry from that. Like a lot of it's been negotiated out, out of like the teams aren't even allowed to do it anymore. And it was somebody, I saw Adam Kaplan from Sirius XM Radio. He's covered the league forever. He told me the other day when he was on our side, like as he was doing like the camp tour, he goes, yeah, the Eagles have had a bunch of 45-minute practices. And I was like,
what?
Yeah. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He goes, they come out there, they get everything done. They just walk off the field. And I was like, what? Like meantime, Tomlin, old school Tomlin, apparently is going 2.5 hours. Still.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in the middle here. The first couple of days, they went like an hour and 15. Now they're doing about an hour and a half. And it's finally starting to ramp up, like finally. And now I think we've eased into this whole thing and it's going to change overnight.
I mean, that's your boy Sirianni, a player's coach. Maybe that's what he's doing.
His friend this time.
Yeah.
He wants everybody to be his friend.
Trying to stay in the good graces there.
He's like, last year they weren't my friend. This year I need to have them be my friend. All right, one other piece of news, because I do want to talk about one other subject with you that's not Commanders in a minute. But there's this little revelation that came out. This is now Thursday morning when Dan Quinn did his press conference, which is the plan isn't for Jamin Davis to just be a pass rusher. He will be getting looks at linebacker again. And he said and emphasized this was the plan the whole time, because all of us have been watching this and going, I don't know how he's going to make the team like this. The numbers don't look good. He's not particularly standing out, albeit, in context, they aren't going full speed. Like I just explained for 10 minutes, they haven't been going full speed. It hasn't been NFL speed yet, but I think I'm seeing the light of the only way he's going to make it is he's got to stand out in one of these two, and they're going to let him go back. And the way he put it was, you can't, because he learned a lesson before when he tried to change somebody's position, that you can't take them too far away from it, or else they kind of lose some of the riding the bike of that skill set of that position. So I think we're going to see a little bit of this again, because the way it's kind of worked out so far, I actually don't think he would make the team exclusively as a pass rusher. So it's again, the clock's ticking on him, but at least I think he's got a chance to show off his natural position here.
I mean, this is rearranging the decks on the Titanic for me. Like now that they're going in that direction, I mean, I don't think he's making the team, period. I mean, it was always going to be tough for him to make the team, but
better shot as a linebacker, just from my point of view at this point. Yeah,
sure. And I mean, he's going to play a bunch in the preseason. So that's going to be his, I guess, calling card is, does he flash in preseason and earn a spot? And, he has to go through your typical kind of things haven't worked out for a first-round pick, right? He's going to have to play special teams. He's going to have to contribute in a bunch of other ways, which I'm sure he's happy to do. But we're going to be watching him in a completely different light than we have in the years past.
Yeah, I think so. All right, since we only have a few minutes left, I referenced this the other day when I was just joking about Alex Ovechkin's interview that he did on a Russian podcast. And the one headline for me that stood out was where he told the host that he laughed when he was asked, have you made $100 million in your career? And I'm sitting there going, how has he not made $100 million in his career? That seems impossible to me that he hasn't, but whatever. That's not the real story of what he told. Like, he talked a lot openly about where he is in his career at 40 and chasing down this record, and basically admitted in this interview, in 2 years, he's moving to Russia and you're basically never going to see him again. And he was like, I'm building a house. I love it there. He said Washington's a second home, but he openly admitted, he was like, we have never felt like that was our home. We were always rushing to go back, and described it as, I don't know when my career is going to end. Wink, wink, when I break this record and this contract runs out, but then I'm going to go home and I'm going to be there forever.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's not a new thing. He said that when he was in his first few years in the league. He might not have said it in that same context, but I can't remember any other Russian player staying here after their career's over with. Like, this is just what they all do, because what they do is they tend to be an ambassador for the KHL, play in all of these Putin games and these all-star games. And look, Ovi is probably the most important Russian player. I mean, I don't think that's hyperbole at this point, right? Like,
he was asked, are you going to be like a minister of sport? And he said, I'm not thinking about that right now. He was literally asked that.
If all Vlad asks him to, he's going to be.
Correct.
So there's not an answer there. That's why he's going back. I mean, this is what the whole thing when, the Russian-Ukraine thing started. I was like, do you guys not understand? He's so close because he's so popular to that guy. He can't deny, what is being talked about and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, this was always the plan. And Tarek Al-Bashir did a piece on him years ago. It was one of my favorite pieces he's ever wrote. It was about all of the memorabilia Alex has, and it's shipped over there. Alex wants to open a museum, of all of his memorabilia over there. And so I'm not surprised that's the plan. I'm surprised he kind of said it now because everything gets, thrown out there. But this isn't surprising. This is what almost every single Russian player does. And guess what? He's going to go back to Russia, and he's going to play 2 years in the KHL too. Like, he's going to play 2 years to finish his career out.
I mean, honestly, if I was the play-by-play voice of some Malaysian basketball team, I probably would want to go home too, the second my career is over. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not complaining about it. It was interesting to hear him literally say it. Like, you're going to have a hard time getting me to come back here ever again. And I'm like, the greatest player in this franchise's history, and anybody going to come along in my lifetime is going to top him. Like, that is not going to happen. This is the end of it. Like, enjoy it, because he may not even come back for reunion games.
Oh, he's coming back. No, he's going to come back for that stuff. Like, I think he just means he's going to live there. And look, like I said, all Russians do this. You got to remember this too, actually. He's got 2 sons, and I'm going to guess both Sergey and I forget what his other child's name is. It's always Ovi Jr. and it's Sergey, but I'm going to guess both of them are going to try playing hockey, right? And so he's going to have them go up the same way he did, and that's through the minors in Russia and then the KHL and then get drafted over here. Trust me, he'll be back over here. Plus, count all of the things that he needs to come back here for. He needs to come back for statue night, retiring number 8, whatever the anniversary they do for the Stanley Cup. He's got like 10 trips lined up. I'm not worried about him never showing up here again. I'm not surprised, though. This is what all the Russians do.
Let me ask you this one, because I've seen a lot of clips, because Cal Ripken's part of the Orioles ownership group. Cal looks a little different. Do you think Ovi is going to become a very large man when he moves back to Russia? And yes, I knew it. I knew you would agree with me. He's going to be obese. Like, I think he is going within 5 years. He's going to be Buster Douglas. You're going to be like, what? Like, that guy was the greatest scorer of all time. What?
I'm going to go, I'll go smaller than Cal Ripken right now. I'm going to go smaller than Cal.
No offense, Cal, but you know.
Look, do you think he pays for anything in Baltimore? I doubt it. Like, don't blame him. But I look at his parents. So his mom, of course, played basketball, and his dad was also an athlete. And his dad always just had your classic like beer gut. That was just who he was, and he wasn't he wasn't obese. But I look at his dad and I go, he's gonna look just like his dad. He's just gonna have a big
older
beer
you get,
belly.
the harder it is to get rid of that thing.
Exactly. So I think, and no offense to Ovi too, we all know how terrible his diet is. That's not going to change when he gets out of the league. The guy drinks Coke on the bench. So
he has to skate around 3 hours every day, so he works it all off. When those days are over, that chicken parm's going to stick to the gut.
Dude, trust me.
That. I wonder if he's going to miss Mama Lucia's over there. I don't know. That might be something he misses.
That's a good one. I mean, I'm sure they'd be happy to like freeze it and send it over or whatever. But I mean, I was just going to say, like, from experience right now, like, I'm marathon training. I get to eat whatever I want because I'm running all of these miles. I'm so worried for after I run this thing in October that I'm going to gain a bunch of weight because I'm used to eating every single day so much. So yeah, he's definitely going to gain a bunch of weight.
Yeah, it was full on real talk. And he was like, he's like, we're building a big house outside of Moscow. Yep. I'm going to move there next year is what he said. And then he's kind of stopped himself and he's like, well, I've got 2 years left on this contract, which does make me wonder if he breaks the record next year, is that going to be it? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like the way it was phrased was kind of like, it was almost like he caught himself. Like, if I do it, I might be done.
I doubt that. So on your previous point too, about the career earnings thing, I looked it up and Russian Machine had a little bit of a chart. Crosby's career earnings were like 157 total. And then Ovi is like 151. He's due.
But that's just your hockey salary.
No. I know. But what I'm getting at is in that, think about how many years he's played now. He's going to be coming up on 20 years, right? He's due 10 million the next 2 seasons per year. So he's not going to give up $10 million and retire. So he's playing the next 2, whether he breaks it or not, because that's actually the most he's ever made on a contract. So
if he breaks it next year, what is he going to be?
He's a power play specialist is what he's going to turn into.
Yeah. They're going to be like, it's 3-3 in the third period, 14 minutes to go. And he's like, send out the other line.
It's going to be Nick Dowd. You're double shifting on the third and fourth line because Ovi's just going out for the power plays these days. Yeah.
All right. One more little reminder here. Please subscribe to the podcast because by the time you see this on YouTube, the show's already aired. So you're going to need to subscribe to the podcast to hear an interview with Ryan Zimmerman because he has a collaboration with Lost Barrel Brewery and he put out a new beer and it's raising money for MS, which is near and dear to his heart because his mother got it when he was a child. And we talked openly about growing up with your parent, like, having this terrible disease. It's a great interview. And I just didn't want to put it on here because there's no video. So I'm like, who wants to watch a blank screen? So it's my excuse to tell you got to subscribe to the podcast to listen to the interview with Ryan Zimmerman today. But I really appreciate him coming on. And he did have a lot to say about the rebuild of the Nationals. So you'll get to hear that as well. All right, Cal, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, you too, man. See ya.